It was almost midnight when the phone rang. I was half asleep, the kind of sleep where you're not really gone, but just floating, trying to stay still enough not to wake the dog. I saw her name flash across the screen. My stepdaughter, 17. Immediately, my stomach turned. Kids don't call this late unless something's wrong. I picked up. Her voice was slurred, scared. She told me she'd snuck out of the house and went to a party. Said she drank too much. Said there were people there she didn't know. Said she didn't feel safe. And then, she whispered something I'll never forget. "Can you come get me?" No hesitation. I was already grabbing my keys. Now, here's the part I need you to understand. Months ago, I made a promise to both my daughter and my stepdaughter. If either of them ever got into trouble, the kind you don't want to explain to your parents, they could call me. No questions asked, no judgment, just a ride, just safety. Because I remember being 17. I remember the pressure, the chaos, the moments where one wrong decision could change everything. And I wanted them to have someone to call. Someone who wouldn't lecture first and rescue second. I never expected they'd use it. But that night, she did. I got to the house just in time. It wasn't even really a house. It was one of those packed, blaring suburban parties where the music feels like it's coming from inside your own ribcage. She wasn't on the porch. She wasn't even standing. She was so drunk, she couldn't walk. I had to carry her to the car. Her body felt small, heavier than I imagined, like the weight of what could have happened clinging to her. Inside the car, I kept my promise. No yelling, no anger, just a quiet moment. I told her I was disappointed she'd snuck out, but I also told her something else, something more important. I told her I was proud of her, proud that when things got scary, she made the right choice, the safe choice. She cried a little, and then she passed out. By the time we pulled into the driveway, she was asleep. I parked, checked the windows, then carried her inside. Somehow, no one woke up. I laid her on her bed, pulled a blanket over her, and just stood there for a second. She was safe, but that's when the real weight settled on me. I hadn't told my wife. I didn't wake her up. I didn't mention it the next morning. And I haven't said a word since. Because here's the thing. Telling my wife would break the deal I made with our girls. It would mean that promise I gave, no questions, no judgment, wasn't real. That they could call me for help, but that help came with strings. That the ride home came with betrayal, and I couldn't do that. But every day that passes, the silence grows heavier. I keep thinking about what would happen if my wife found out from someone else, a parent, a neighbor, one of the kids from that party who saw me carrying a drunken girl to my car. What happens if this secret doesn't stay secret? And deeper still, what does it say about my marriage? That I can't be honest with my wife about something this big. But here's where it gets complicated. If I do tell her, will our daughter ever trust me again? I've seen it. I've lived it. Teenagers who feel like they can't trust the adults in their lives don't stop making risky choices. They just stop asking for help when it matters most. They get in cars with people they shouldn't trust. They stay at parties that feel wrong. They swallow their fear and pray for morning. And that's what keeps me up at night. So I'm stuck between loyalty to my wife and the promise I made to our daughter. Between being a trustworthy husband and a safe place for the people we're raising. And yeah, I've thought about asking my stepdaughter to tell her mom herself. But she's already fragile, already scared, already ashamed. I don't want to make her feel like doing the right thing got her punished anyway. Because that's the lesson, isn't it? If I break the promise, then calling me wasn't safe after all. So I've stayed quiet. And every time I look at my wife, I wonder if she can tell something's off. I've replayed it all 100 times in my head. That call, her voice shaking, the way she clung to my arm like I was the last solid thing in the world. And I keep asking myself, what matters more? The trust of a scared teenager, or the trust of the woman I promised to walk through life with? Maybe I'm fooling myself. Maybe this isn't about trust at all. Maybe it's just cowardice. Maybe I'm afraid that once this truth comes out, things will break in ways I can't fix. That I'll lose the fragile peace we've built in this blended family. That I'll lose the safety I fought to give her. That I'll lose my wife's respect. But maybe I already have. So, am I the asshole? Because I didn't tell my wife I picked up her daughter drunk from a party. Because I kept a promise to a scared kid instead of telling the truth to the woman I love. Because I'm protecting someone, but maybe not the right person. Or maybe there is no right person in this story, just people. People trying to do what feels like the least wrong thing in a world that doesn't give you clean answers. And maybe that's what makes this so hard. Because sometimes, being a good parent and being a good partner are two different roads. And I don't know which one I'm on anymore. This story hits like a gut punch. Not because someone was drunk. Not because there was danger. But because it's about the quiet, impossible choices we make as parents. As partners. It's about what trust costs. This man tried to do the right thing. He kept a scared teenager safe. He kept his word. He chose compassion over control. But in doing so, he may have damaged another sacred bond, honesty in his marriage. This isn't a story with villains. It's a story about collisions. The collision of trust and secrecy, of protection and partnership, of doing what's right for someone and feeling like it might be wrong for someone else. So here's what I ask you, listener. If it were your kid who called that night, would you want their step-parent to honor the deal and keep them safe in silence? And if it were your partner who kept that secret from you, could you forgive it? Could you see it not as betrayal, but as protection? Or would it shake your foundation? Comment below. Tell us what you would have done. Because in the AITA Story Vault, not every story ends with a clean answer. But every story reminds us just how hard it is to love someone well, especially when it matters most.